Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moton.
And I'm Jenny Norman. Here are the top 5 things to know this Friday. Number 1, the fire emergency in Southern California. A new fast-moving wildfire erupted last night. It quickly burned more than 5,000 acres.
This is in Ventura County near the town of Santa Paula. Flames are threatening thousands of homes. At least 7,500 people have been forced to evacuate.
We head to Washington for number 2, public hearings in the impeachment inquiry against President Trump, maybe just 2 weeks away following that historic vote in the House Thursday.
Democrats approved a resolution laying out the rules of the impeachment investigation moving forward, but they failed to get one single Republican to support the resolution. On to number 3, ISIS has confirmed the death of its founder days after that U.S. raid in Syria.
The terror group has already named a new leader and issued a warning to America not to be arrogant. Meanwhile, as some Americans withdraw from Syria, ABC's Martha Raddatz reports some troops are rolling into the country to guard oil fields.
So the U.S. now has troops leaving northern Syria, but hundreds and hundreds going into eastern Syria. So in the end, we could have about 700 troops remaining in Syria, despite what the president said.
And we also know that President Trump said he would pull nearly all 1,000 U.S. troops out of Syria. The mission to the oil fields is being done and conducted despite that pledge.
And number 4, after spending his entire life as a New Yorker, President Trump is officially becoming a resident of Florida.
The president has filed papers to switch his permanent residence from Trump Tower to Mar-a-Lago. He tweeted that political leaders in New York have treated him badly. He was apparently alluding to legal filings aimed at getting his tax returns.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo fired back, tweeting, "Good riddance. It's not like Mr. Trump paid taxes here anyway. He's all yours, Florida."
And finally, number 5, a surprising number when it comes to all that Halloween candy lying around this morning.
A new survey finds that 72% of parents admit to stealing candy from their kids. Instead of stealing candy, some researchers say you may want to negotiate. They found kids typically learn negotiating skills by age 6.
And if you've binged too much, here are some sugar detox tips. Drink more water to flush the sugar out of your system, and hit the gym or take a walk to get your blood moving.
Get going.
You got your comfortable shoes on, don't
I'm
you?
ready to walk it off. Walk it off.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday, November 1st.
Yep,
We're
grab it.
right to the big story this morning, that vote to move forward with the impeachment investigation in Washington.
Democrats passed the resolution, but not a single Republican joined them. The partisan battle comes as a new poll shows the nation divided, with a narrow majority of people in favor of impeaching and removing President Trump from office.
Let's bring in ABC's Megan Tevrizian to tell us what's next. Megan, good morning.
Good morning, Kenneth and Janae. Democrats say they want to move quickly, telling ABC News these hearings could start in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
A historic vote on Capitol Hill, a bitterly divided House of Representatives voting to formally move the impeachment inquiry forward. This new phase sets the stage for another round of hearings, this time open to the public.
When we move into open session, both parties will have an equal opportunity to question any witnesses that are called.
Republicans are still calling the process unfair, accusing Democrats of trying to overturn the 2016 election and promising to defend the president.
Will you all go on the record and say that the president did nothing inappropriate?
Very clear, yes.
But on Stephen Colbert Thursday night, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi insisting it isn't personal, saying she's defending democracy.
The most important thing for the American people to realize and understand is no one is above the law.
This comes as another White House official, Tim Morrison, testified that military aid to Ukraine was held up until their leaders committed to investigate Joe Biden and his son Hunter. But Morrison also said he saw nothing illegal about the quid pro quo at the center of the impeachment inquiry. And President Trump continuing to defend himself, telling former British politician Nigel Farage on his radio show he did nothing wrong.
It's a hoax. And, high crimes and misdemeanors. Well, what's a high crime and misdemeanor when you have a very appropriate conversation?
Democrats want to start hearings as early as mid-November. Witnesses who have already testified behind closed doors could do it again, this time in public, which means all of this could be playing out on television very soon. Kenneth.
So many people will be watching. Megan, thank you. Democrats are expected to conduct this new phase of the impeachment inquiry at the same rapid pace they've been working since launching the investigation.
Those nationally televised hearings are expected to get underway as early as mid-November, and a vote on possible articles of impeachment could take place before Christmas. The Chicago teacher strike is over and classes resume today for the first time in 2 weeks.
The mayor and union leaders agreed to make up 5 days missed during the strike, resolving the final sticking point between both sides. Wednesday night, the union approved a tentative agreement on the 5-year deal that includes raises. Watch this horrifying video of a woman falling in front of a subway train in Madrid, Spain. She was apparently distracted by her phone and stepped off the edge of the station platform. Amazingly, the Madrid Metro says she was not seriously injured.
A woman in Utah is suing a 911 emergency dispatch company, claiming it failed to respond during a brutal attack at her home. Brianne Lastly says she was nearly killed when an ex-convict broke into her home and began stabbing her. She and her sister called 911 4 times. She claims a company called Priority Dispatch Corporation made faulty software that prevented police from being sent when she called for help.
Stop us! Stop us, please! What do you want? Hello? What do you want? Hello?
But to be able to call 911 and not have help sent is terrible. It's not just a disservice to the community and puts the community at risk. It literally put my life in danger.
The sisters were saved by a police officer at a home nearby who heard their screams. He killed the attacker. The lawsuit claims the software requires 911 dispatchers to ask certain questions before it sends police, but the company is fighting back, insisting its software was not used that night. It says police would have been sent otherwise.
These sriracha bottles don't contain hot sauce. Authorities say instead they found $200 million of meth. That's $200 million of meth. Australian police arrested 4 people in connection with importing half a ton of the drug from the United States. Officials say a Vietnamese organized crime syndicate is responsible. Indiana authorities are investigating a bizarre death near Lafayette.
A 36-year-old woman died after she was found with an 8-foot python wrapped around her neck. And the house where she was found is owned by the county sheriff.
He uses the house just for his collection of snakes, and the victim also kept her own snakes there. Officials are not certain yet that the python killed her. Overseas, a World War II mystery is solved after nearly 80 years. A British submarine that vanished during the war has been found at the bottom of the sea off the coast of Malta. The submarine disappeared in 1942 after being ordered to sail to Alexandria, Egypt. 43 people were aboard the sub. There were no survivors.
And Washington is gearing up for a big old victory parade tomorrow.
Fans greeted the Washington Nationals on their return from Houston, where they beat the Astros after 7 games. It's the first time in almost a century the Nats have the World Series trophy.
Tomorrow's parade on Constitution Avenue starts at 2 p.m. and ends with a rally. So exciting.
So happy for them. Congratulations to the Nats. So happy.
Long time coming.
Coming up, we're taking a look at some of this Halloween's best costumes from Washington, D.C. to celebrities and athletes.
Plus, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton back together again after 28 years. More after this. All right, welcome back. Also developing this morning, authorities have issued a dire warning about a missing college student from Alabama whose stepfather is a UFC fighter. The teen hasn't been seen in more than a week. This morning, a new statement from authorities in Alabama makes clear just how much danger Anaya Blanchard is believed to be in. They say she was harmed and is considered to be a victim of foul play. Police say that's based on evidence they found in her vehicle. The 19-year-old was last seen in Auburn, Alabama last Wednesday. Surveillance footage from this convenience store shows her buying something moments before she vanished. Her SUV was found dented and scratched 2 days later, about 55 miles away. The FBI, U.S. Marshal Service, and Homeland Security all getting involved in the search. Blanchard is the stepdaughter of UFC heavyweight fighter Walt Harris.
I'm UFC President Dana White, and I need your help.
The mixed martial arts community is now upping the reward money in the case.
I'm contributing an additional $25,000 to Alabama Governor Kay Ivey's $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the perpetrators involved.
The total reward now up to $80,000. ABC station WBMA reports one question officials are looking into is whether Blanchard was meeting a stranger from a dating app. A message sent by Blanchard to a roommate indicated she may have been with a man before she disappeared. Her family is pleading for the public's help.
If somebody out there knows anything or knows the whereabouts of my daughter, please, 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 I beg you to let someone know.
The task force working on the case now includes 60 investigators.
Now to Hong Kong, where 5 months of protests have taken their toll. China is now vowing to ramp up legal measures against foreign powers seen to be engaging in what they call separatism, subversion, infiltration, and sabotage. Let's bring in our foreign correspondent, Julia McFarland, in the London Bureau for more on this. Julia, good morning. So how could this affect the pro-democracy movement there?
Exactly. So clearly from this, China is, well, for a while now, it's really been running out of patience with these ongoing protests in Hong Kong. There were questions about whether the Beijing military might step in a few months ago, and that, of course, remains an open question. But a top lawmaker in China said today, basically, that Beijing was keen on, as you say, stamping out foreign interference. It's painted a lot of these protests as being influenced by foreign powers, those pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. Now, what the Chinese are saying, basically, is they want to force the Hong Kong legislature to enforce a clause in the basic law. That's Hong Kong's sort of mini constitution. And it's an article which basically requires that Hong Kong, quote, enact laws on its own to prohibit any act of treason, succession, sedition, subversion against the Central People's government. Now, basically what that means, if Hong Kong authorities are to enforce laws that prevent this, that could mean an end for foreign political organizations to have any kind of standing in Hong Kong, also preventing a lot of civil organizations from having links abroad. This doesn't just include what people fear, political organizations. It could also affect advocacy groups and charities who protect minorities such as Tibetan Buddhists or the Uyghurs.
All right. And back there in London, Julia, officials have removed what they call a fatberg from the sewers.
Yeah, I know you guys like eating on that show. I'm just wondering if you've got anything else, because you might
I'm actually eating right now. And I was like, oh, am I the fatberg?
No, what I was to say? No, I was saying you maybe put off your appetite with these really gross pictures we're going to show you. A gigantic sludgy mass, double the size of a big London bus, was found in East London. It's known as a fatberg, and it is a horrible, huge, congealed mess of waste, fat, diapers, sanitary waste, and God knows what else people are flushing down the loos. Now, Thames Water, which is the body that regulates London's waterways and waste systems, it said that the enormous clog the operation to remove it began 3 weeks ago with a crew of 8 people working 9 hours a day underground. The only way to remove it, they said, was to blast it with high-powered water jets and then remove the debris by hand before sucking the substance out with tankers. Now, this area in East London, there's loads of restaurants and things like that, so Thames Water have been trying to get restaurants to stop pouring fat down the drains and things like that. But guys, there's no word on what those 8 crew members were paid for doing this. That's what I'm really interested in. How much were they paid to hand fish this?
Couldn't have been enough. Julia, what were you for Halloween?
Last night, I was in my bed, guys. I was having an early night, and I was watching Interstellar.
Oh. Not mad at it.
That was my big Halloween night. But I saw Heidi Klum. I'm obsessed with Heidi Klum every single Halloween, and every year this comes around,
Cadaver.
I think of her poor assistant, who must be having like a heart attack every year about what she's going to help Heidi Klum dress up as. But I thought those pictures were amazing.
Yeah.
Before you go, Julie, can you briefly tell us about that big sporting event this weekend?
Yes, it's going to be a very big weekend here in England, because the national team are in the Rugby World Cup final. Rugby, if you guys are a little unfamiliar with the sport, it's basically what you guys call American football, but they don't wear body armor, basically. because, you know, they're tough and
Yeah.
they don't need to wear body armor, and it is a superior sport. But moving on, so England are playing the Springboks, the South African national team. Guys, you know I'm just jesting when we have a little sport rivalry, right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that's good.
I love you
But
still.
The last time England won, the only time England won the Rugby World Cup was in 2003. And so for a sport that originated in England, it would mean a huge amount for everyone here if we were to finally win. So,
well, good
tomorrow
luck.
I'm actually going to my best friend's house to watch the rugby. She's married to a New Zealander who they were, of course, knocked out by England in the semi-finals. So it's
you know what? I did know that.
Interesting.
I didn't. I did not know that actually.
No.
So,
Everyone was
yeah.
expecting the final to be New Zealand versus South Africa. So it's going to be fun watching the game tomorrow with a bunch of Kiwis.
Well, enjoy that. Julia, thank you so much for joining us. You have a fabulous weekend.
Have a nice weekend.
All right, let's get a check of our notifications.
Starting with some of the best costumes from Washington this Halloween.
Democratic presidential hopeful Cory Booker did not visit rival Kamala Harris's campaign headquarters. This is one of her staffers who dressed up as Booker, complete with a sticker that says, "Hi, I'm vegan."
Yeah, and California Democratic Congresswoman Katie Porter wore a complete Batgirl costume on the Hill, then changed into her secret identity clothes for a committee hearing, but she kept the mask on.
And LeBron James dressed up as Edward Scissorhands. Check this out, Edward Scissorhands.
Pretty cool.
He did really well.
And then
Yep.
Tom Brady paid homage to Star Wars, dressing up as a stormtrooper, almost except for the shoes.
Steph Curry as Toy Story's Buzz Lightyear out with his family.
Love it.
Even Philadelphia Flyers Gritty dressed up. This is Gritty as Wonder Woman.
That's pretty cool.
And moving on to other celebs celebrating, Ellen DeGeneres transformed herself into Cardi E. The 61-year-old talk show host channeled Cardi B's character in the movie Hustlers.
And after weeks of hype, we now know what Heidi Klum dressed up as, and frankly, yep, we're pretty grossed out.
She's a cadaver. It's crazy. She always goes all out, and she certainly did it again, certainly outdoing herself. How about this football team?
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian.
You know, we got to get Kim K in because we got to mention her. This year, she dressed up as Reese Witherspoon's Elle Woods from Legally Blonde. We know that Kim Kardashian, she's got now a legal, degree, something.
That's our question of the day. What's the best Halloween costume you saw this year? Tell us in the comments. Tweet us at ABC.
Throw out some pictures. Let us see them.
Something.
And what's Halloween without a good scare? Pitt's football players thought they were walking by a mannequin modeling their uniform.
Nope.
It was not. People punched that thing. Fell out.
Fell on the floor.
Fell on the floor.
That's a good
Pretty
prank.
creepy,
And next, an amazing story of a man. Next to a story of a man suffering from chronic sinus problems for years.
X-rays show what surgeons described as a calcified degenerate plant matter, which they removed. It turns out the man had crammed marijuana up his nose before a prison stint, then completely forgot about it. And a Georgia Tech student got an interview with a Fortune 500 company with sticky notes.
He used the L squares to spell out "hire me" on his apartment window. The computer science major lives across the street from NCR headquarters in Atlanta. To his amazement, someone replied using the same method.
And now he'll be working for the tech giant next summer, but not because of the stickies, apparently. He won an academic competition whose prize was an internship.
Big congratulations to him.
And Halloween may now be over, but a battle royale is already shaping up this weekend at the box office.
He promised he'd be back, and now he is. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton reprising their roles in a brand new sequel that hopes to get the Terminator franchise back on track. Here's ABC's Chris Connolly.
My name is Sarah Connor. I hunt Terminators.
She's the action movie pioneer, whose Sarah Connor blazed trails and bullets through the first 2 Terminator movies. Now, 28 years later, a 63-year-old Linda Hamilton is ripped and ready.
I'll be back.
For Terminator Dark Fate.
I really enjoyed this one. It's kind of wonderful to reprise, but reprise from a big gap, and to be able to bring back so much more that has just happened as a function of age and experience.
Fittingly enough, Sarah Connor gets the no-nonsense introduction she deserves.
We rehearsed the crap out of it because it's really the first impression, isn't it? And so we worked those weapons so that I would be smooth. I mean, just every minute detail.
You even get the great line as you leave. How about that? She took your line, Arnold.
I'll be back.
You will have to pay dearly for that one.
They're both back for Terminator Dark Fate. But it's been a minute. So to catch you up.
I, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
Long before he was elected governor of California. Before she starred in the hit TV series Beauty and the Beast.
Her name is Catherine.
Before he helmed Titanic and became Oscar's King of the World. Yes, 35 years ago. 1984's The Terminator and its state-of-the-art sci-fi vaulted writer-director James Cameron onto the movie industry A-list. But the Terminator's hero was Linda Hamilton, somehow staying alive to save all humankind from future annihilation.
The fact that I was wearing that hair shocks me that she ever became anybody. Like, you look at her and go, ooh.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Now 72, Schwarzenegger reportedly began shooting the movie just 3 months after open heart surgery. As new characters from Mackenzie Davis, Gabriel Luna drive much of the action, Hamilton looks back with satisfaction on her return.
I've never felt so just encompassed with love and creativity ever as an actor. My affection for Arnold and just my ladies were a revelation. There was a lot of hugging. I know it sounds so girly, but boy, that's what kept us alive.
Arnold, we don't want to ruin your image, but Tim told us that you cried after you saw the movie.
I don't know, it just creeped up on me when on the end. I did not think that I would walk away and having tears coming down my eyes.
Meanwhile, as she comes to the aid of Natalia Reyes Danny, another young woman with a fateful future, fans long invested in Sarah Connor figure to cheer.
I am pleased that women are getting to stand up and be counted and be strong and strong and feminine. You know, we don't have to look like men to be strong, and you know, it's all going according to plan.
Coming up, the week's not quite over yet. We'll tell you what to watch out for this Friday.
Plus, if you love chocolate chip cookies, get ready for some that are out of this world. Can I say it? Can I say it? Can I say it?
Do it.
We'll be back.
Here's what to watch out for today. President Trump travels to Mississippi to hold a Keep America Great campaign rally. Democrats running for president are set to attend the Library and Justice fundraiser dinner as caucus day is just 3 months away.
Swedish teen climate activist Greta Thunberg is scheduled to take part in a youth climate strike in Los Angeles at City Hall. Secretary Hillary Clinton will attend a special screening of the documentary The Great Hack on the Cambridge Analytica scandal, where she will moderate a discussion with the film's directors.
And Mexico City is celebrating the Day of the Dead with shrines to honor and remember deceased relatives. Plus, don't forget to tune into The Debrief for an update on all our top stories in the briefing room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics. Finally, on this Friday, there's nothing like fresh-baked cookies that just smell amazing, right?
Even if you're living in the International Space Station, the crew there is about to test something called the Zero-G oven by baking chocolate chip cookies.
Until now, all they had was essentially food warmers. The cookie dough will be supplied by DoubleTree Cookies because, you know, their chocolate chip cookies are some of the best.
How about we go get some cookies right now?
Sounds good.
It's daylight saving time. Don't forget to fall back, check the clocks and your fire alarms as well.
And carbon monoxide.
Oh, there you go.
Protectors.
All right, we'll see you next week. Have a good one.